Hey, are you wondering how to prep for the ACT with limited time? In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about efficient prep methods, i.e. how to get the most out of your ACT prep so that you're not wasting your time and you're really improving as much as possible in whatever limited time you have. As I've mentioned in many of the videos that I've done in the past, the first thing that I recommend that you do in prepping for the ACT is always take a practice test, okay? By taking a practice test, and I know it takes like 3 and something hours, but you can diagnose your weaknesses and then tackle your weaknesses, and that's how you're going to be efficient. The weakness could mean that you got like a 25 on everything, but the reading is a 17, right? Then your weak point is what? Reading, yeah? So that's the score that you probably want to get up, because having a 17 on the reading isn't going to look that great, right? At the same time, finding your weak points isn't just figuring out what your score is. Again, it's figuring out exactly what you're missing, right? And you can do that if you don't have my online course or some tool like it. You can also do it by looking at the question and trying to figure out what that question is testing. Now, if you've never done ACT prep before, there might be some questions where you really don't know what the test is testing, right? There might just be a bunch of words and they're in different orders. And you're like, word order? I don't know what this is testing, right? And it could be testing something like modifiers. It could be testing something like clarity. It could be wordiness. In any case, where you're going to go through and you're going to try to figure out what you're missing. So take a practice test. You can download one from our resources page, SupertutorTV.com/resources. We have links to official ACT practice tests. You can download the PDF, print it out, take it on paper. If you are an international student, we also have a link to the digital ACT, or if you're taking the ACT digitally, you can find that there. If you don't think you're taking it digitally, you're probably taking it on paper. Just a quick plug. Our online course is going to tell you exactly what kind of things you need to work on based on the content-driven sections of the test. And the content-driven sections of the test are going to be the English and the math sections. I'm also teaching live classes. So if you want to cram for your July ACT or some other test date, you can check out all of our live class offerings at SupertutorTV.com/live. And we're starting up a Facebook group called Competitive College Admissions. So find us on Facebook as well. We'll put the link in the description to this video if you want to join us there, and you can chat with me, ask me questions, all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, so after you've taken your practice test, you need to understand what your weaknesses are and then attack the lowest hanging fruit, as I like to say. What is low hanging fruit? That means it's the easiest questions to improve on. If you're trying to get a better ACT score, you want to work on the easy stuff first and the hard stuff last, right? You also want to work on the stuff that appears often as opposed to the stuff that doesn't appear very often. The lowest hanging fruit overall on the test by section, I would say, is the English section. So if you have limited time to prep for the ACT, you don't even think you have time to prep for all the sections. Heck, you only got hours left. English is the #1 section. If you need to drive up your composite score, first place I always go. How do you improve on the English section? So there's 2 paths here, maybe 3, but really 2 when it comes to content. You're either going to get a book or maybe a website or something like that, but a book that's going to walk you through what all the English rules are, and you're going to focus on the rules that you missed on your practice test, so you don't have to do the whole book. You just do the sections that you missed. Or if you're doing our online course, we'll just spit out to you a video of me, hi, and a worksheet to go over that. So if you're missing commas, you do the commas video. I'll teach you the 17 rules of commas, and then you're going to do a worksheet on commas to solidify that, to make sure that you know everything. Boom, nailed the comma. Now you're not going to miss comma questions, or at least not the ones that are easy, right? So that's how you do it. You either get an online course or some sort of online tool that's going to work you through all of these English rules and then drill it down for you, or you're getting a book. And even if you're working with a tutor, that tutor needs material. So they will either get you a book or they will get you, some sort of online resource that you're going over. So either way, you need material to learn grammar rules, okay? So that's the English section. And if you don't have a budget, head to the library, get a book. Or you can Google each thing that you don't know how to do. Like, what are the rules for using commas, for example, if you're missing comma questions, and then dig into every single thing that you're missing and figure out how to do it right. One caveat on books, I recommend that you get books, if you're going to do a book, you get a book written by an independent tutor and not some big brand name that your mom thinks is cool because it was around when she was prepping for this test 30 years ago, okay? You want to use the best resources possible that really get into the nitty-gritty of every grammar rule. An independent tutor book or by a small company that's run by tutors is going to be a better bet, okay? Second area to talk about working on is the math, right? The second section. What I like to say about the math is the quote, easy to improve, but it takes a lot of time. So if you are trying to improve your math score, what I would focus on is anything that you're missing in the first 30 questions. Those tend to be much easier questions. And that's the kind of stuff that you can clean up really quickly. So if you get 1 through 30 all right, maybe look at 1 through 45. After we get above 45 or so, we're really getting into the harder problems. Last 10 questions on the test, really hard. Improving on those can be difficult because those will always be the hard questions. So the amount of knowledge necessary to get those right is going to be a deeper level and more time-consuming level of learning than the early questions, okay? So it doesn't mean don't work on those, and if you have more time after this ACT that you're about to take, please dig into the math. I've got 2 math books. You don't have to do everything. Again, focus on the things that you need to work on, and that's how you maintain the efficiency. But it is a more time-consuming process to improve on the math than the English, so I say English first, math second, but math focus on those lower numbered items to improve your potential efficiency. Next 2 sections of the test are a little bit different. The reading and the science sections are not content-based. That means to get a great score on either of these sections, you are not expected to have a lot of outside information that you're bringing to the test. Granted, there are a couple of outside information questions in the science. We can't do much about those, but let's not worry about those. Those are maybe 2 points on the test. Let's worry about everything else. Both of these tests are all about habit. What that means is if you've got a little bit of money to spend on a private tutor, the reading and science sections are the place to do it, because you need to rewire your habits to do better on these tests in general, okay? I'm going to give you some quick tips on how to improve when you don't have a lot of time, whether you have a tutor or not. Number 1 tip on the reading is make sure you are basing all of your answer choices on evidence from the passage. That means you have to go back to double check. You have to find the section of the passage where this question is asking something about, and then figure out what the answer is. If you read the right evidence, you're going to get so many more reading questions right. The other big tip is a lot of times you guys are approaching this test wrong and you're just picking answer choices that you remember from reading. Make sure you do not treat this as an open book test. Make sure that you're very careful about details. You don't take answer choices that are half right and think that they're fully right. And if you're careful and you go back and you find the evidence, I think you're going to find the reading test is not as bad as you think it is. If you're really struggling on the reading, the first thing I like to do is do an untimed reading section, get as many right as you can, so that you understand how the test works a little bit better, and then you can speed up. Science, the biggest tip is be careful and really make sure you watch your details. Take a little bit, read a little bit, understand it, read a little bit more, understand it, underline every key word, every number, check each one off when you're going back and forth to the graph. Make sure you have the right species of animal, make sure you have the right month of the year, make sure everything is specific and perfect and right, and you will do better on the science. Being detail-oriented and being careful is not hard, but it is a habit. And it's one that you might need to rewire, but sometimes students can do it really quickly. So it can be efficient to work on reading and science even without a lot of prep time. Again, expert help on those I think is generally a little bit more helpful than the English and math. English and math are easier to self-study. Doesn't mean you can't get help if you need somebody to sit there and, you know, make sure that you're working. And then the final tip that I have for being efficient is make sure you focus on finishing. It's true if you're missing a ton of items and you're not finishing, maybe focusing on finishing isn't helping any because you're already missing 50% of the items that you tried. But if you're getting 3/4 of what you try correct and you're just not done, getting more done would probably raise your score even if you lose a point or 2 on the way. In any case, you want to make sure you put an answer choice for every single question because there's no penalty for guessing. Now there's one exception to that, and that's the math section. If you have no way of getting the late math section questions right because you've never had pre-calculus because it's super hard and you're just like not going there and it's not you, you've got a 19 on the math, let's be honest with you, just fill in bubbles for those last ones. Don't worry about getting to the end of the math, it's okay. But for reading and for science and even the English section, they don't tend to get super hard toward the end, and you'll pick up more points if you stop spending so much time, right, mulling over 1 question or 2 questions early on in the test, and you get to more items and you get more of those right, okay? And that's my final tip. Good luck taking your test. I hope you guys like this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet, and check out SupertutorTV.com. We've got lots of resources to help you guys, live classes, private tutoring, whatever it is that you need, we'd love to help you out. Plus, we've got plenty of free videos right here on YouTube, so we hope that you'll join us here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Find us on social, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.